You put on a uniform this morning, maybe you didn't notice. A work badge, a school lanyard, a referee's shirt, a nurse's scrubs, a security guard's jacket. You think it's just clothing. It's not. The real answer is far stranger. That uniform is quietly rewriting who you are. In August of 1971, a psychologist named Philip Zimbardo built a fake prison in the basement of Stanford University. He wasn't studying prisons. He was studying you. He wanted to know a simple, terrifying question. Are cruel people cruel because of who they are? Or are they cruel because of where they're standing? 24 young men answered a newspaper ad. $15 a day to take part in a psychology study. Every single one of them was screened for mental stability. No history of violence, no criminal record. Ordinary college students, handpicked to be as normal as possible. Half were randomly assigned to be guards. Half were assigned to be prisoners. A coin flip decided everything. Notice that. A coin flip. Nobody chose to be cruel. Nobody chose to suffer. The only variable was the role a stranger's clipboard handed them. And within 6 days, the experiment that was supposed to run for 2 weeks had to be shut down. Guards were forcing prisoners to do push-ups, while a fellow inmate sat on their backs. Guards were stripping prisoners naked. Guards were putting bags over prisoners' heads and calling them by numbers instead of names. One prisoner had a breakdown so severe he had to be released after 36 hours. These were not bad men. These were college kids who, 1 week earlier, were writing essays and drinking coffee between classes. So what happened? Your brain runs on something psychologists call deindividuation. Strip away your name, give you a uniform, put you inside a group with a shared identity. And something in you quietly steps back. The part of you that says, "This is me, and I am responsible for this," gets dimmer. The group becomes the actor. You become the instrument. Zimbardo wasn't the first to stumble onto this. A decade earlier, in 1961, a Yale psychologist named Stanley Milgram ran a study that should have made humanity a little more humble. He told ordinary volunteers to deliver electric shocks to a stranger every time that stranger answered a question wrong. The shocks weren't real. The stranger's pain was an act, but the volunteers didn't know that, and 65% of them kept pressing the button, all the way up to a label that read, in plain black letters, "Danger, severe shock." Not because they wanted to hurt someone, because a man in a lab coat standing calmly beside them said it was fine. Authority, uniform, role. These three things are doing something to you right now that you'd rather not admit. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. The guards in Zimbardo's basement weren't told to be cruel. There was no script that said torment the prisoners. They were simply told to maintain order. That's it. And within 48 hours, without instruction, they invented their own cruelty. They escalated on their own. Nobody handed them the idea. The role itself seemed to generate it. Think about what that means for you. It means cruelty doesn't require a villain. It only requires a costume and a stage. You've felt a small, watered-down version of this yourself. Maybe you've noticed how differently you act the moment you put on a work uniform versus how you act in pajamas at home. Maybe you've watched a mild-mannered coworker turn sharp and territorial the second they got a manager title. Maybe you've seen how anonymous usernames on the internet turn calm people into cruel ones within a single comment thread. Same brain. Different role. Different person comes out. There's a reason armies have uniforms. There's a reason cults strip away your birth name and give you a new one. There's a reason prison guards, historically, wear mirrored sunglasses so prisoners can't see their eyes. Hide the individual, and the individual's conscience gets quieter along with them. Anonymity isn't neutral, it's an amplifier. But here's the twist almost nobody tells you about the Stanford prison experiment. Not every guard turned cruel. Roughly a third of them did. Another third played it strictly by the rules, tough but fair, never crossing the line into humiliation. And the final third actively did small kindnesses, sneaking prisoners extra food, offering quiet comfort when the cameras weren't the focus. The situation pulled hard on everyone, but it didn't erase everyone the same way. This is the detail that changes the entire meaning of the study. It's not that good people simply become evil in the presence of power. It's that power reveals a fork in the road, and most people don't realize the fork is even there until they're standing on it, badge already pinned to their chest. A researcher named John Darley, working around the same era, found something just as strange happening outside of prisons entirely. In a study on bystander behavior, people were far less likely to help someone in distress when they believed other people were also watching. Not because they were cruel, because responsibility, like identity, dilutes the moment it's shared. Alone, you are the only one who can act, so you act. In a crowd, you quietly assume someone else will. The group doesn't just change your behavior, it changes your sense of who is even responsible for the outcome. Put a name tag back on someone, and the effect reverses almost instantly. Studies since Zimbardo's have found that when people are made to feel individually identifiable, watched, named, accountable, the cruelty drops sharply. It's not that the capacity for it disappears. It's that visibility switches the part of your brain that whispers, "This is me," back on. So why does any of this matter to you? Scrolling through a video on a Tuesday, nowhere near a fake prison or an electric shock generator? Because you are, right now, wearing roles you didn't fully choose. An employee, a moderator in a group chat, an anonymous voice in a comment section, a driver sealed in 2,000 pounds of steel and glass who would never scream at a stranger face to face, but somehow finds it easy to lay on the horn the second that stranger becomes a windshield instead of a person. Every one of those roles comes with a small, invisible costume, and every costume nudges you a few degrees away from the person you'd recognize in the mirror. This isn't a reason to despair. It's a reason to pay attention. The guards who stayed kind in that basement weren't smarter or morally superior to the ones who turned cruel. They simply noticed the pull and consciously pushed back against it. That noticing is the entire difference. Awareness of the situation's power over you is itself a kind of armor. So the next time you feel yourself hardening behind a uniform, a title, a screen name, or the sealed metal box of a car, ask yourself a very simple question. If everyone could see my face right now, exactly as it is, would I still be doing this? You put on a uniform this morning. You didn't choose all of what it does to you, but you can choose every single time whether to let it drive.